have everyone's attention to get started?
Tom Flanagan.
I think I know most of you, but if I haven't met you, first off, sorry for that. My name is Joe Smith, the general manager of the golf club in the town center. This is a great turnout. We like to make notes of what topics bring out the most members, because judging by the crowd this morning and assuming most of you might be playing golf today, we opened up quite a few tee times by having this meeting. I do want to apologize for the timing of this, as well as the short notice. We were working through some legal challenges with an agreement we're going to talk about later on in the presentation. And of course, before we officially announced the meeting, I wanted to ensure all of that was straightened out and we were good to move forward. So that being said, just want to recognize a few people. To my right, David Starcel, Scott Ortiz, Russell Clement, Chris Pilgrim. Very small portion of our management team here, but these are the key managers that are responsible for your experience every season. And then to my left, we have our Golf Club Advisory Committee. Kurt Anderson, Sandy Finley, Kay Mikulis, Patty Volpe, Paul Fish, Bob Schwartz, and Ed Wise, who is out of town. Really want to acknowledge these members and thank them for their time and efforts over the last several months. They have provided us a wealth of information. They've been very engaged in the club, and they've helped us to really come up with some new policies, implement some new programs, new procedures, and they have made a significant time investment over the last summer on our Tee Time Discovery Tour, if you will. We'll talk a little bit about that later on. This morning, we're going to go through a quick recap of this season. We're going to give you a brief update on what to expect over the summer. We have some very exciting capital projects planned. We'll go through our summer golf course maintenance schedule. And then we'll get on to the topic that everyone is really here to talk about, tee times. So if you would hold all your questions till the end. We do have some items that you can pick up on your way out. These were the questions submitted in advance. We have all those answered. I think we'll cover a lot of that in the presentation. So again, we'll have those available at the back of the room for when you leave. In addition to that, you can tell any of your peers who weren't able to make it this morning, we will be sending out a follow-up email on the meeting afterwards. So, to get started, just a season recap. This year we had a Thursday dinner service. The attendance was steady. We were happy with it. It was growing towards the end of the season. We also added some specific events for the golf club. Same events as what we had at the town center. We did a duplicate night here. We did this to add some value to the clubhouse, to the golf membership, to make it special for golf members so you didn't have to fight the overwhelming crowd at the town center. All of these events were very well attended. We're very pleased with the support we received with these events, and I would anticipate we do the same thing next year, if not add some more events to the clubhouse. We also added to our schedule this year 2 Sunday mixers per month. In the past, it was 1 per month. They were all very well attended again. Very pleased with the support. And as all of you know, we implemented some new guest policies specifically related to dining and golf. I'm pleased to say that those policies did not interfere with any of our attendance for the events or the golf course. As you'll see later, we had a very successful season in terms of activity levels. We will be reviewing those policies over the summer with our Golf Advisory Committee to see if they need to be modified or if we want to continue with them, so on and so forth. But overall, the goal with those policies was to create some more accountability with tee times, limit some guest activity to open up some tee times for members, and then create more accountability for the guests who are bringing into the dining facilities. And we're very pleased with how those policies impacted the clubhouse this year. 2015 summer hours of operation. This is pretty much going to mirror the past last summer. There are some things we're going to be finalizing. We will again be closed on Mondays. If you remember, last summer we started the summer off closing on Wednesdays. We made a change in our schedule because we could accommodate more tee times with double tee starts on Wednesdays. And that gives our golf course maintenance teams the ability to do what they need to do on Mondays, which includes mowing the entire golf course. So Mondays works better, closing Mondays works better for us, and it opens up some more tee times on a weekly basis for the membership. So we're going to continue with that. That begins June. Thursday nights and Sunday nights will end at the end of April, and we'll go down to Friday nights only for dinner. Food and beverage hours of operation, we are still finalizing, but aside from Thursdays and Sundays, there are no major changes planned until after May. So we have some time. We have a golf advisory committee meeting tomorrow. We want to talk to them about some ideas of being a little bit more efficient through the summertime. So we will get a communication out as soon as we have that finalized. We have our deep time aerification scheduled for August 10th, 11th, and 12th. This is where we bring in an outside service to do a deep time aerification on our greens. Because it's a contractor, they need to do it consecutively 3 days in a row. So that all facilities will be closed those 3 days. With the exception of the fitness center, we will have some administrative staff on property so you can come in and use the fitness center. And I believe the golf shop is going to be available too if you want to make tee times elsewhere. Okay. And then again, we are still finalizing some items in the summer, and we'll communicate that sometime in May. Thank you. This is probably really confusing for everyone. It's confusing for us too. One of the things 27 holes allows us to do is operate 18 holes through the summer with very little interruption to the membership. At 18-hole facilities, you would typically close down the entire golf course for a period of time so you can get your aerifications done, so on and so forth. So what we do, and you're all aware of this, we go down to a 9-hole rotation, okay? In the past, we've closed 9 holes on a 2-week, 10-day rotation where we aerify and edge bunkers, edge cart paths, do all of our detail work. Our summer plan this year is a little bit less aggressive, and we are tweaking the schedule somewhat. And what we're going to do is, rather than go to a consecutive 2-week closing, the first 2 weeks of each golf course, the first closing of each golf course will be 2 weeks. And then in August, we're going to go to actually a 3-week closing. So each golf course will be closed for 3 weeks, okay? That's going to give the golf course that's closed an additional week to heal before we reopen. And the last closing is going to be 1 week, okay? And during that last week, we're not going to be aerifying. We're going to be we're not going to be very aggressive during that last week at all. Pretty much just detail work to get ready for October 1. We're able to do this year because we're actually going to go down to 4 aerifications rather than 5. We've done 5 the last 4 years, I believe, 3 years. I think the health of the greens shows why we've done that. But we do realize that in the summertime, those of you who stay year-round, it's not a very pleasant experience at times. So when we had our annual USGA visit in February, we ran this past them, they feel that we're at a point where we can roll back on our aggressiveness over the summer. And again, we'll continue to monitor. There may be years in the future where we decide to do a fifth aerification, depending on where we're at that point. But this year, this is the plan. And you can see in August, these are the 3 days we'll be doing the deep time. So Egret will be closed out at that period, but those 3 days, the other two courses will be closed as well. Just some detail of this summer. As I said, we're going to aerify a total of 4 times. Each golf course will be closed, two 2-week closings, 1 3-week closing, and 1 week. And the greens will be aerified 4 times. So we're going to have 2 traditional core aerifications. We're going to have 1 deep tine aerification, and then we're going to do what we call a quad tine aerification, which is barely noticeable. The tines are spaced a little further apart. We pull very tiny cores. And we will be aerifying tees and fairways 1 time, but we will not be verticutting tees and fairways this year. You may have remembered the verticutting is rather aggressive. We verticutted the last 2 summers, I believe. We're gonna see what kind of results we get by not verticutting this year. Our season starts a little earlier than other clubs. You all love it here so much, you come down in October, which is great. But when we verticut, it does take a little bit longer to heal. So we're going to go through this summer, we're going to choose not to verticut and see where we are in the fall. Okay? So much less aggressive than we've been in years past. Summer capital projects. We've got quite a bit planned. We will be addressing the bridges on Egret and Heron. Those will be completely rebuilt, redecked. We have extensive improvements to the practice range planned. If any of you are familiar with the area behind the practice range, between the cart path and the parking lot, that is extremely unsightly, we're going to do some dressing up to that area. We're going to add some concrete, some landscaping. It's going to be reshaped. It'll give us more area for parking down there, for staging golf carts. You won't have to drive through the mud. Something that's been long overdue. So we'll be addressing that. I believe we treated that turf yet? No. In the next few weeks, or this week, we will be applying Roundup to the Bermuda grass in that area. So it's going to die, just heads up. And then sometime thereafter, we'll be communicating on the schedule for concrete because there will be some extensive work done throughout there. We have some money allocated for cart path repairs. We will not be repairing every cart path on the golf course. This year we have $15,000. So as far as that can get us, we're going to address that over the summer. Russell has gone through the golf course and identified the worst areas, and those are the areas that will be addressed. As we work on our business plan for next year, we'll try and get some additional funds for the following year. The cart paths are approaching 15, 16 years, so they're at the point, you all know, where they need to be addressed. So that's something you'll see this summer. This is actually an item most people don't think about. It's probably one of the most important assets in the community is our pump facility, which is located behind Ibis 9T. The last 4 years, we've made significant investments into that facility. We've replaced all 3 of our pumps, and we have some further capital going to that facility again this summer. Which really at this point, after we complete what we're planning this summer, we're going to have pretty much a brand new pump facility, which again, that supplies water to the golf course and the community, and it's very important to what we do. We will be resealing the parking lot probably during the 3 days we're closed in August. So if you do come to the golf club to use the fitness center, you're probably going to want to bring your golf cart. If you don't have a golf cart, we're going to have to brainstorm on some parking options for you. But They will reseal over 3 days, so we'll probably have sections of the parking lot available during that time. And then we will be officially adding a staircase from there's a nice little walking trail. It's been made through the bushes in the parking lot up to the backdrop. So we'll be adding a staircase there. It's in engineering right now. We're going to get a permit for it. And in the next few weeks, we're going to build that staircase. The space that is directly in front of that will be striped off, so there will be no parking. Not a big issue, though. And then lastly, we are going to engage in an architectural study of the clubhouse. Applause early on is good. We're going to source an architecture firm. I have several that I've worked with over the last 2 years in regards to the town center, so we're going to engage one of those. We're in the very early stages here. I can't tell you today what this is going to lead to, but at least we'll have a study done. We'll see how the space is used today, if it can be used better in the future, and then go from there. So stay tuned on that. I would anticipate at some point we probably get some member input on that, but as I said, we're in the very early stages. So this is just a reminder. The Golf Club Advisory Committee is up for re-election. These are the members that have either nominated themselves or have been nominated by others. We had an email go out a week and a half ago looking for votes. We'd like those votes by April 24th, which is the end of this week. So if you haven't taken the time to log into that survey and vote for these members, 5 of these members actually, please do so. And then lastly, another reminder, our annual survey goes out a week from today, April 27th. This is the big comprehensive survey that we do every year. The information is very important to us. So I just urge you all to please take the survey. Much of what we implemented in our plan this year came directly from that survey last year. So we're not able to implement everything or everyone's comments, suggestions, but we do read them all. So please take the time, take the survey. It's 10 minutes. You'll all be getting an email a week from today. Okay, tea times. Show of hands, who likes waking up at 5:30 in the morning when you're fully retired? You guys saw one. These still work? Let me preface this with a little bit of background. When we came out of last season, David and I approached this group of members, I think it was around late April, early May, with our dilemma, okay? Every year, especially when we get to the height of season, February, March, the constant complaint that we get is fix the tee times. Fix the tee time system. We approached that group with this. We don't have a fix. The current system is first come, first serve, and it operates how it's supposed to operate. Everyone logs into that system at 6 a.m., 10 days out. They try and see what's available. And if someone's looking at a tee time, that tee time is unavailable to someone else. That tee time goes unbooked. The other person who was interested in it didn't get it. We don't necessarily have an issue with available tee times to the number of members we have, but our challenge is that you all like to play a lot of golf, which is great. So we approached this group with that challenge, and we said, would you be willing to learn about options with us? Because, this is the only type of system I've ever used. David has experience with other types of systems. And what we did was we set up a series of tours at various clubs around the area. We talked with their golf pros, we talked with their members, we looked at different options, and we just started learning together, okay? Through that process, we came up with something we think is going to make the experience better for everyone, and we'll tell you about that this morning. So we'll start with a few facts. Sorry, I've been fighting allergies for weeks. So last year we played 57,000 rounds of golf. That's pretty good. It's not great though. There's other clubs that play more, believe it or not. Going back back to 2010, this is a 15% increase, just consecutively year over year. 81% of those rounds were member guests. That's on an annual basis. That percentage is even higher in season. So very few of our rounds booked are non-member rounds. Member guest rounds for the first quarter of this year were 93% of our total play. That's not what we could have put out on the golf course, but of the total rounds that were played, it was 93% were member guests. Our Q1 rounds this year were up 7% over last first quarter. First quarter, January, February, March. And our utilization in peak months, January, February, March, is about 70%. When I say utilization, I'm meaning the number of available tee times to the number of tee times that we actually put out on the golf course, okay? So about 70% of the tee sheet is booked. Now, we actually look at our available tee times and back it down about 10% because we assume that 10% of the times available are not ideal times. They're late afternoon times. Theoretically, we could put people out later in the day for 9 holes, and they're just not as desirable as the earlier times. On average, our golf members play 3 to 4 times a week. Sometimes that's that's much more. There are members that play 5 times a week, 6 times a week, but that's the average. And our non-member rounds, on average, are booked 1 to 3 days prior to the day of play. Because 10 days out, there's literally no tee times available. You all get. So 1 to 3 days out is where we see cancellations, plans change, so there's holes in the tee sheet. And that's why over the last few seasons, when members have come to me with, hey Joe, fix the tee sheet, I say, don't get hung up on the 10-day window. Check back 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, or even 5 days out. I'm pretty confident you'll find something, okay? Because there's so many changes that take place within that time frame. But majority of our non-member play is booked within that window. So what are our challenges? We've talked through a few of them, but our first come, first serve type system, it is what it is. The experience you had this season with it's not going to change. It's first come, first serve, and it's really at its maximum functionality in the height of season. Utilization, we believe, is only going to continue to increase. We sold 55 new memberships last year. We netted 40, which is great. And we want that to continue. We want the membership to grow. Our demographic plays a lot of golf, so logically, that's only going to increase. The 10-day booking window is just going to create less availability, more member stress as the utilization grows. And right now, what we see is members are literally fighting in that 10-day window, setting alarms, coordinating with your peers. You're not supposed to have that much stress in retirement. I don't want to anyways. You know, I stress about these things now, but I don't want to deal with this type of stress when I retire. So that's what's happening now. I think everyone's aware of that. And again, we know that group play is very important to our members, so we wanted to make sure that we had an option available that accommodates that, or offers some sort of accommodation to groups. Group play is important in every club. That's part of why you join a club. Make friends, get in with a group, you have the same games every week, same group of people. That's part of the experience, so it's important to us as well. But I'm sure most of you understand, it's difficult for us to give preference to single players over groups, or groups over single players. At the end of the day, we just need to look at booked tee times, available tee times, okay? So how can we improve this? As I said, we did a discovery tour, if you will, learned about options this summer. Every club's different. We are not the first club in Lee County or Collier County or Florida, for that matter, to have these challenges. We might be the first club where we're learning about this together, though. But again, we want a tee time system that is customizable. We want to be able to make changes to the programming, changes to how it functions as the membership grows. We might want to be able to make changes to how the system operates seasonally. You know, we really right now only have a challenge in season. You know, there's no customization available with our current system. It is what it is. What can I change? I can change when the 10-day window opens. I can make that 10-day window 7 days. I can make it 15 days. But that's not going to change the issue. You're all still going to book at the same time. So as I said, we want balanced access to the tee sheet. We learned about some options. We made a selection. And we believe this is going to provide a better booking experience, better overall experience for our membership as we go into next season. And the system, you've all heard this term used. I know there's a lot of rumors out there, but the system operates on what we call missed minutes. And we'll explain what that is in a little bit here. So what are our benefits? Increased functionality. It accommodates groups. Groups can be linked together. One member can request tee times for up to 6 member groups at the time of booking. Tee time requests can be made up to 30 days in advance. The system is all web-based, so similar to what we have now, but you can make a tee time request anywhere, smartphone, tablet, computer. You can go through the shop if you'd like. And this is really key for us, is it's customizable. The programming can be changed, can be updated. We can change the parameters of how the system operates. We will roll out the system with a certain set of programming now, but we might go into next season and say we need to change this, or we need to tweak that. That's all available, okay? There's much more programming available in this type of system than what we have today. And the benefit to us is we know we're going to need to make changes, okay? As I said, we don't have that now. It is what it is. I don't even have any screenshots to show you today because the system is actually being specifically built for Pelican Preserve as we speak. So all I'm giving you is how I believe the system is going to operate, what we've learned about the system. We're very certain this is how it's going to work, but I don't have any actual screenshots to show you today or an actual tutorial to take you through because it doesn't exist today. It's being built as we speak. But this is how it would, this is how it's going to work once we have this complete. As I said, book tee times through golf member website, smartphones, tablets. I'll clarify here. This is a placement or request-based system, okay? Where currently we have a first come, first serve. You log in, book whatever's available. Up to 30 days out, you would tell the system when you want to play, what time you want to play, your preferred time, latest time you're okay with, earliest time you're okay with. So basically you're putting a request in. There's no benefit in the timing of the request. So you could put a request in 30 days out, put it out 15 days, put it out 11 days. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on what tee time you ultimately end up getting. We spoke about that. All other tee time categories, there's no change to them. So right now, if you book your tee time 1 day out, 2 days out, 5 days out, 9 days in advance, you still do that. You still would log into the tee sheet. You're going to be able to see the entire tee sheet, see what's available, see who's playing, and you would book directly into the tee sheet. So just as we do now, there are changes that happen within that 10-day booking window, and you might have a better chance today finding a tee time 3 days out versus setting your alarm at 5:30 and getting up and getting onto that computer and fighting everybody else. That opportunity still is still available with the new system. Placement happens every single day, 10 days in advance. So what does that mean to you? That means that you still know what day you're playing, what time you're playing, 10 days in advance. Okay? Just as you do now. And as I said, members who like to make tee times 9 days out to 1 day out, you can check with the shop, see what's available, log in, look at the tee sheet, book your tee time direct. No change in how you book for MGA, LGA golf tournaments. You book directly into the tournament. This is an overview of really how you would go about booking your tee time. So you would log in similar to how you do it now. The difference is you have the opportunity to put a request 30 days out. So you would select a day, you put in your parameters. I want to play at 8:40, but I'm okay playing at 8 o'clock, and the latest I want to go out is 10 o'clock. Okay? Your preferred time is 8:40 though. If you're playing with other members, you have a buddy list option. You would list those other members. We have a buddy list option now, and a lot of you may know about that. Some of you are probably saying, big deal, we have that now, we don't use it. We don't use it now because you are timed when you're making that tee time, right? I think you have a minute to secure that time. If I remember, I don't think I would waste my time going through my buddy list and listing the other guys or girls I want to play with, but I'm only given a minute. I'm just concerned with booking that time, right? And I'll put any name in there or leave it TBD or whatever. Because this is request-based and you're not pressured, you're not waking up at 5:30 in the morning, I would hope you're going to take the time to think about your group, who you're playing with, or maybe you have a guest you want to list. And you would plug all that information into the booking window. Once a tee time request has been completed, the system assigns a confirmation number, and you get an email as well as each member. So if you book a foursome for yourself and 3 other members, everybody you list on that foursome is going to get an automated email saying, Mr. Cole booked a tea time or requested a tea time for this day at this time, and he's going to play with you. And then tea time requests can be amended by the individual member that books the time, or by anyone who's on that time. So again, you put in a request 15 days, 30 days out, until the 10-day window when we actually distribute the times. Anybody who's listed on that time can go in and make a change. I don't want to play with that person. I'm busy that day. I have family in town. You can remove someone. You can add someone. Nothing is finalized until that 10-day window. As I said before, a member can book a block of tea times. Okay. We said up to 24 times. So one member can book up to 24 players, okay? And if you want that group to play together, which I'm assuming you would tell the system to keep that group linked, okay? These 24 players are going to play together. The catch is that you need some names to book that many. So we're saying you need 6 names to book 2 times, 9 to book 3, 12 to book 4, so on and so forth. We understand you might not have everything finalized 30 days out, but keep in mind you can make changes 30 days to 10 days. But we want to be sure that the tea times that are being booked are truly being used, and we don't have all these unused times being opened up within the 10-day window. So missed minutes. Everyone keeps asking, what is missed minutes? So this is basically how the system will distribute times. The benefit of missed minutes is nobody's penalized for playing them. Each member will have a 14-day rolling window of accumulated missed minutes. Okay? When I say rolling, when day 15 comes on, day 1 drops off. So you just have this consecutive missed minutes accumulation. And what is a missed minute? Well, when you make your tea time request, let's say I request my preferred time is 8:40, and I'm awarded 8:48, which is pretty close. I would have accumulated 8 missed minutes. Now, when we start, nobody has anything. But when we get into the first several weeks, you start accumulating these missed minutes. Every time placement happens, who's ever in that placement for the day, within a specific time frame, and I'll cover that as well, the computer will look at who's got the most missed minutes and place it based on that. Okay. Teams, if you're booking a group. 4 members, it's an average missed minutes of the group the system looks at. You're able to view your accumulated minutes, so you'll be able to see, you'll log in, you'll be able to see how many missed minutes you have, be able to see changes to that. I believe you'll have a tea time history that you'll be able to see on a regular basis, where your requests were, what tea times you actually received. And again, the number of rounds you play has nothing to do with placement. Play as much golf as you want. Okay? That has no bearing on what tea time you get. It's simply who has who's missed the most of their requested tea times, if you will. In a way, you kind of get awarded for playing more. But keep in mind, placement really is really only affected by those others who are in your preferred time frame. Okay? So if placement's going to happen today for 10 days from now, if someone has a request in to play 10 days from now, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I have a request to play at 8 o'clock in the morning, he's got no bearing on me. Okay? So this is just an example. I covered this. John Smith, 8:45, he receives 8:54, he has 8 missed minutes. If John Smith receives his requested tee time, because that, believe it or not, happens as well, he accumulates no missed minutes for that placement. This is important down here at the bottom. What happens if I was out of town? I just got down here, Joe. I was gone, and it's the middle of March, and I've got no missed minutes over the last 14 days, and I'm going to try and get a tee time, right? Well, you have 2 options. You can go into the placement 30 days out, right? And in that case, the system will use the club average to place that particular member. So you're not penalized if you're not here, okay? And that would be the case for everyone. That's something that could be changed in the future. This is kind of basic stuff. You'd each have a member with the new, or a member account number with the new system. It's going to integrate with our website, so you're not going to have to log into our website, click a link, log into the new system. It integrates, so you log into our club website, you can go right to the tee time booking engine. You're going to have a buddy list, which is much more usable than it is now. Again, you log in 30 days in advance, you can make your request. You'll have a history of your tee time requests, play history, request versus what you received. You can see what your accumulation of minutes. And again, that pretty much changes daily. You'll be able to see the tee sheets and available times. This is something that, this is what we're going to roll with right now, but this can be changed as we work further through this. Right now, we're saying that tee time requests must be made the 10th day out by 6 a.m. Okay? So don't get hung up on that 30-day window. Actual placement doesn't happen until 6 a.m. or it's actually the placement's going to happen at 7 a.m. 10 days out, but you need to have your request in by 6 a.m. 10 days out. Does that make sense, everyone? And then when we actually do the placement, the system is unavailable for a period of time. Right now, we're not sure exactly what that's going to be, but we're saying probably from 7 to 9, 10 days out, the tee time system will be unavailable sometime within that window. Because what happens is we will actually, the golf shop will actually trigger the tee time placement, okay? So what this, I want to make sure everyone understands. Really what we're trying to do here, if you think about it this way, before we distribute times, we're trying to find out who wants to play, at what time, on what day, and then we're going to look at all those requests 10 days out, and the system will do its algorithm and place the times based on your accumulated missed minutes. Okay? If I had to do a food and beverage analogy, because that's my background, it's kind of like how we take reservations for buffets, so Chef Mike can properly prepare, versus just saying, hey, it's Italian night, show up. It's kind of what we're doing with tee times now. Just show up. Just 6 a.m., go on there, and you guys battle it out. It's not a very good experience. What this allows us to do is, up to 30 days, let's find out who wants to play on a particular day. Let's take all of that into consideration. What times? Mr. Hugh Banks wants to play, preferred at 8:48, but he's okay playing as late as 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Take all that into consideration and let the system do a very specific, fair calculation on how those times go out. And you still know what time you're going to play 10 days in advance, just like you do now. So if it doesn't end up working for you, let's say the occasion you put in a request for 8 o'clock, and you were really general with your parameters. You say, I want to play at 8 o'clock, but I'll play as early as 7:30 or as late as 3 o'clock in the afternoon, okay? And you get 3 o'clock, and you say, you know what? I was kidding. I don't want to play at 3 o'clock. So 10 days out, you're going to know, I've got a 3 o'clock tee time 10 days from now. Pick up the phone. Hey, David, I got this 3 o'clock time. I don't think it's going to work for me. Were there any openings? You can still book directly to the tee sheet, 9 days, 8 days, 7 days, 6 days, 5 days, 4 days, right? Call the shop, log in online. You know there's going to be changes made. So you see what's available. And based on the past several seasons and what I've been telling people to overcome that complaint of, hey, Joe, fix the tee times, don't get hung up on the 10-day window. There's a lot of changes that take place 10 days and sooner, and you probably have a good chance of getting a tee time 1 day out, 2 days out, 3 days out, so on and so forth. So what are our next steps? As I said earlier, I don't have anything to show you today because it's being programmed now. We will, at some point, hopefully in the next 15 to 30 days, try and schedule a testing period for the advisory committee and club staff. Obviously, this would be a large change. We want to make sure everyone's communicated to. We will try and host some training sessions, perhaps over the summer for our year-round members, and indefinitely into the fall. Right now, we're looking at a go-live date of June 15th. And again, there's several things that need to come into play before that happens. We need to iron out the details of how this would actually transition over to the new system. We would take the summer to work out issues because we will have some. We'll be in communication with the Golf Advisory Committee. We may be making some programming adjustments. As I said, that's available to us, which is a huge benefit. And then this is something that's very important to David and I. As we move into the fall, we're going to look to form a member tee time committee to help us with this system going forward. We have a lot of ability to customize and change the system, as I've said several times already. We want member input. This affects everybody in this room and several members who aren't in the room. So as we work through this together and this system evolves, we want to keep members involved. And you know, your input, you're the ones that use it every day. You know, so we want that information. So more to follow on that as we move into the summer. And just to recap, I tried to throw 3 key points up there that really encompass what we're doing, and I hope I captured it. So the current system is not going to change. There's no ability to change it. It doesn't evolve. It is what it is. I can tell you today that Chris is going to sell probably 75 memberships this year. Putting you on the spot. But we're gonna start the year with more members next year than we did this year, and the following year is going to be the same. And you know, I know everybody likes the club the size it is today. That's great. Probably like the club the size it was 3 or 4 years ago. That's great too. We've got to sell memberships. As members, you want us to sell memberships, and if I don't do it, they'll just put someone else in there. So the membership's going to grow. The current tee time system does not change. The way it operates today is the way it operates. So taking those two facts into account, you are all pretty smart people. I think you know that the experience is not going to get any better. The new system, there's no penalty for the amount of times you play. It has no bearing on what tee time you get, right? And lastly, we're simply going to find out who wants to play on a particular day, at what time, how many people want to play, and with who. And then we're going to distribute the times based on everybody's accumulated missed minutes. It's that simple. I think this is kind of key. Current, it's a free-for-all, right? Hey, I got in at 6:01, and I've got all my friends log-ons. I'm going to book 10 times just to have them. That happens. He freed up last week, one particular day, 13 unused tee times. Tee times, foursomes. That's pretty inefficient, right? So, questions? Yes.
Does the system, I know it's all computerized, does it need to be monitored when it puts the tee time? Does that operate in the background? My reason for asking that is the system going to be tied up from, let's say you said maybe from 7 to 9 those mornings? Or can it be set at midnight to operate during the night? Does it need to be monitored?
Question was, does the system need to be monitored? You're speaking specifically from 7 to 9?
When it assigns the tee times, because you said that it would have to be, a time window in there that would have to accumulate it and put them in place. My question is, does it have to be during the day or can it be at night? Does it need to be?
Here, okay. We've got two options there. Okay? The system could be automated, or the system could be placement happens when David clicks the button. Okay? We're going to go with, right now, placement happens when David clicks the button. Let me tell you why. And I'll also tell you why we chose 7 to 9. And this was something we learned was speaking with some golf pros and members at other clubs, is inevitably, when the tee times go out, everybody gets their email, here's the time you got. There's changes, requests, so on and so forth. If it happens at night, they're not available. Okay? Shop's not available. If it happens in the afternoon or the morning, they're there to take phone calls when something changes or there's an issue. The other piece of this that we haven't finalized yet, so I'm not making any commitments here, but a lot of clubs who use a similar type system give members what they call like a silver bullet. Okay, so it's a special request. We have not finalized anything like that, but I'll give you an example. Maybe Mr. Borsch has some out-of-town guests in, business clients. They're here for a very short period of time. He really wants to make sure he gets out at a particular time. If we had a special request system in place, we could say each member has 2 silver bullets a season, and they can come to David with that and say, I've got this special situation, I really need these people out. And when he comes the third time, I wish he wouldn't, but let's say he does, we're going to say, you know what, we can't. But having a system right now managed directly by the golf shop in terms of actually going in there and clicking that placement button, it allows us to have the ability to accommodate things like that.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any penalty for, I know that the system, if it used to, we don't know how all exactly work, but when you have a rental property and somebody cancels the day before, there's no refund for their rent. If you go 30 days out, there's a refund proportionate. Are they going to be penalized for their unused their minutes? Will they be penalized
Question was, is there a penalty for unused times or maybe times that are canceled within our cancellation policy in regards to the accumulated missed minutes? So let's say you put in a request and you missed your tea time by an hour and you get 60 missed minutes and then you just blow it off. Yes, we have the ability to do that. Or no-shows. As you all know, we implemented a no-show and cancellation policy this season, which has helped quite a bit. It's really increased the accountability for members using tea times. But we have the ability to address those issues automatically through the minute procedure. Again, not finalized, but an example that was given to us as we were talking with the sales rep was you could do a 50-minute penalty for cancellations or no-shows, okay, where you lose. Regardless of what minutes you have, you just automatically lose 50 or 100. I mean, it could be whatever we want. That would be something that we would look to put in place with our tea time committee, because we want some member input on that. Yes?
Everything's good in construction reports, and if I have one play a single or just play with my wife, can I put in a tea time and then the computer will match me up with another?
Yep.
Single?
Question was, everything in the presentation was related to a foursome. If you want to play as a single or as a twosome, will the system match you up? Yes, that again is customizable. We can change that option. The way we're looking at setting it up now would be a lot of tea time systems are set up to fill the tee sheet. In other words, if you put in a request for a single player and there's an open foursome, it's not going to push you in the open foursome. It'll find a threesome or a twosome to push you with. Right now, we have it set up to where a single player could go into what we call the captain's position. So if you want to play by yourself and there's an 848 available, and that's what you requested, it'll put you there and then find someone to fill the other 3 slots.
So if I want to play at 9 o'clock, and I said I can play from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and there's no availability in that time, but there was one at 10:06 because I put 10 o'clock window, will it not give you tea time even though it was one at 10:06?
Correct. The answer was if I want to play at 9 o'clock and I tell the system my parameters are earliest 8, latest 10, and there's a 10:06 available, you're not going to get that. Okay. So again, you want to be rather flexible with the options you give the system.
Yeah, I got a question about groups. When you've got a group with 3 or 4 tea times, and let's just say I've asked my group to start at 9, and I've got 12 guys. Anybody that starts at 9:09, 9:18, 9:27, where do those minutes fall in? Because if I'm in the 4th group and I'm at 9:27, do I get 27 minutes, or how does that add up?
Question was, if I'm making a request for a group, I've got 14 times.
It'll be all, you're going to ask for a preferred time.
Yep. And that's
So your preferred, you're going to say 7:30 is my earliest, 5 o'clock is my latest, I want 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And you get 12:27.
Yep.
Every person in that group gets 27 minutes.
Thank you.
Everyone got that? Over.
What happens if you want to play, let's just say Saturday morning, and you put in 8 o'clock to 8:30,
Okay?
and then somebody else puts in 8 o'clock till 9:30 or 10:30? Is the person who says, I only want to play in that half hour, going to get priority over somebody that gave you a larger window?
Your priority is based off your missed minutes for the ranking system. So whatever your window is, my window has nothing to do with Joe's window. When it's your turn, when the system says, it's your turn, I'm looking for you, it's going to look for your window, it's going to assign the time. Joe's window of opportunity has no bearing on mine.
We're all asking for 8 o'clock in the morning,
Okay?
and then some people only put in 9:30,
then that person's gonna need to open up their window.
because he can get,
Right, it just depends on where you fall in the ranking system.
okay.
If you're number one, great. If you're number 25,
Keep in mind too, even if your window's only half an hour, it's still gonna ask you for a preferred time. So I may only be able to play from 8 till 8:30, but my preferred time, you're gonna have to put in, my preferred time is 8 or 8:05 or 8:15. So that's really what it's gonna look at first, and then it takes into account what other requests are in that time frame and who has the most missed minutes. But again, if you're rather limited on your time frame, that will have a bearing on availability.
Make a tournament.
Potentially, I don't know. I don't know.
I would make a window big enough to give you every opportunity. An example, if you went in today and said, I can only play between 8 and 8:30, nothing's changing. You know, if you're given 8:45, you're gonna say no, right? So I would give yourself a big enough window, you know, to take advantage of it.
Mr. Mikulas, you had your hand up first there. And then we'll...
Yeah, if you're trying to book tee times for a number of groups, let's say you got 6 groups that you're trying to put together, will they give you the tee times consecutively, or is it gonna, if you gave it a window, let's say from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and you had 6 groups, could they all be spaced out over the
You're going to tell the system that. You're going to say there's going to be an option. I'm booking for 6 groups. I either want to keep these groups linked. Okay, there's going to be a checkbox. Keep this group linked. Maybe it doesn't matter to you. Break the link. So you set that parameter. Okay. Yes.
What if you're just setting it up for 4 people, not groups or anything, and you don't know exactly who you're gonna play with? Because even 10 days out, if it's like my husband and I, we don't know which couple we're gonna play with. Do you have to have the names in there 10 days out?
Now, yeah, it's going to ask you for names. Now, we know, ask me 10 days from now, who am I having dinner with? Okay? You're going to have to put some names in there. And then you have the ability to change it. You know, that is part of the 10-day window, because it was very important to this committee keeping it 10 days. You know,
But see, right now, you don't have to put the names in.
right. But now you're going to have to put some names in. We know it's going to change. We know that everybody's going to have that. Okay?
Do they have to be people that belong to the club?
No, it could be guests. Okay? But we know that it's going to change because I know how many people drop out of groups as it is. Bob Worski, Dick Scott, how many revisions, Gary Wall, John Nash, how many revisions do you guys send me in a 4-day window right before their tea time? So we know it's going to change a little bit. That's a given. But it is going to ask you for names, yes.
Even at 30 days or just?
No, well, when you put your request in, it wants names, okay? Yeah, it's going to ask for names.
Yeah, but I believe the names just have to be, because remember, that request can be amended 30 days all the way up to 10 days when the placement happens. So you can put the request in for a foursome, and then sometime within that window, you've got to go back in and get some names in there.
But what
Okay.
about within the 10-day window, after the placement?
Well, that would be a change you'd make with the pro shop.
We have to call you, had to go.
No, well, you could cancel the time and see what's available online.
You can't just change names online.
I don't have an answer to that question. I'll have to find out.
Otherwise, you're going to be.
I'll have to find out, yeah. Yes. Question is, where do the annual memberships stand for the 10-day window? There's no change to that. Annual members still have a 9-day booking window. You book directly into the T-sheet, just as you do today. Yes. Go ahead.
Was this expenditure budgeted for this year? I'm assuming software is not free.
We did have miscellaneous expense in there because we knew we were going to start researching this. It's minimal, it's $300 a month. There's no hardware to this service. It's simply a programming software fee, and there are no charges when we want to go back and change things or make programming adjustments. So it's a very minimal expense to the club. Yes, Mr. Miller?
Let's say I put 3 times, 30 days out for 9 people. 2 days prior to when I want to play, somebody drops out for whatever reason. So now I have 8 people. Will the system put me into 2 foursomes? Am I going to still be 3 times?
You're going to go in and make the adjustment to your request. So
Okay.
you're going to take it from 3 threesomes to 2 foursomes.
Even though it's just 2 days out, I can.
Correct. Anytime prior to when we shut the system down, you should tell the system to process requests. You have that ability.
I think he's saying 2 days before the next meeting.
Oh, after the chief has her time.
Right, yeah.
You can still go in there and make adjustments. You would be able to change that from 3 threesomes to 2 foursomes, provided no one else is impaired with you. Or you could call the golf shop and say, hey, Dave, Jeff Haskell's dropped out. Can you look at our time? Can you make this 2 foursomes? Provided that I haven't put Kurt Anderson or Patty Volpe, the system put that into your threesome. Just like it is now.
Yes, sir. I have a question. And I'm pretty new to this, but so now we're going to go 30 days out. If I'm understanding correctly, one person can book up to 12 people at a time, 30 days out, that comes down. Of that 12 people, and by before the 10th day, they got to have names. How many of those 12 people can be guests?
Right now, we don't have any restrictions on how many guests you can bring.
Our existing guest policy is going to stay in place
Right.
seasonally.
So
So that'll have an effect on it. In terms of, hold that question here.
But the second part of this is, you said right now you have 70% utilization during the high season on a daily basis.
Yes.
Where does the capacity come from guests, and where does the capacity come from new members?
I'm unclear on what you mean by
Well,
capacity.
if we're at
Yeah, we
70%
don't,
70% utilization, and I can bring 10 guests with me when I book, put my request in 30 days out, seems to me, as a member, that that's going to push some members aside and the opportunity to play, particularly during the January, March.
Sure.
And second, and then the other thing is, and we're at 70% utilization, and yes, you can book 2 days out. Aren't we trying to tighten this down so that we have, particularly for the members, more committed time and actual committed play?
well, right now, we don't commit times to anyone other than members and member guests.
Well, I understand, but if I'm going to bring 10 guests with me, that takes up a lot of capacity.
It does. I could probably figure that out. I don't have it with me today. But right now, we have managed our T-sheet through booking windows, okay? Different categories have different amount of days they can book. Members have the largest booking window. What we changed last season was members could only bring the same guest up to 6 times. That opened up quite a bit of availability because we had people who were bringing non-member residents on a very regular basis to the club to play golf. And we saw that as a challenge. I think I understand what you're asking, and my response is we haven't quite got there yet in the life of the club, but we're actually dialing into how many tee times we allow per day for guests, or how many tee times we allow per day for new members. We don't look at it right now like that.
I'm not so concerned as a new member. I'm more concerned about the opportunities to go forward. Because in my opinion, you can still overpopulate the opportunity for the members by bringing outside.
I would encourage you to put your name in for the Tea Time Committee when we announce that in the fall.
I think we'll have to discuss. As things pop up, the committee will discuss all these opportunities, challenges.
And one of the biggest things you hear as a new member from the outside that is not in the groups is the gaming of the system. And
Sure.
this, to me, if I could bring 10 guests with me, I have that flexibility, because this is a nice, very good place to play, particularly in high season. That I think the focus still needs to be on the members, and I'll be happy to participate.
Sure. I mean, currently, if you went on to book a tea time, you could bring 3 guests. There's no restriction. It's just whatever tea time you can get. So,
But now we're opening that window further.
right.
That's the point.
Yeah, that might even be a silver bullet.
Real quick, one of the options that I failed to cover, that again, we need to iron out through programming, is that some clubs in the area who use a similar system, we can actually give booking preference. The system will first and foremost operate on missed minutes. But secondly, it will book in an order of 4 members over 3 members and 1 guest, 2 members and 2 guests, 1 member and 3 guests, so on and so forth. Like I said, we haven't gotten to that extent yet, but those are things that we need to work through with a group of members, probably with this group, and then correlation with this tea time committee into the fall. Truth be told, I don't believe there's going to be any major impact to your experience for those who stay through the summer months. We may have some bugs we work out, but we're really not going to get the true feel for how this operates until we get into the height of season. Okay? Right now, we know our issues are, there's some inefficiencies in the tee sheets because people are just booking times. And I know everyone hates to get up at 5:30 in the morning. So we're trying to address those first. And as I said before, really one of the main key points of this is let's find out who wants to play on a particular day well in advance. And then you all know we have a very specific process that we're going to divvy out those times. Rather than just opening the door at 6 a.m. and saying, have at it. That's what we're trying to overcome here. Doc Leeson, you've had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, we're in 55 local communities, so to speak, and there's many times we'll come up during summertime or winter, and all of a sudden we see cart path only signs on the door. Now, some of us don't play with this cart path only, especially because I've utilized knives. Are we going to be penalized if we come up and we
Of
see-
course not. The question was, do we penalize anyone when it's cart path only? If you show up that morning, decide you're not going to play because of it, when we officially rolled out our cancellation no-show policy in the beginning of the season, we were pretty clear on we want some accountability. We want to be able to enforce some things, but we're not going to be out of line with that. So if it's cart path only, we're not going to penalize anyone for that. We understand, especially on IBIS. I wouldn't want to walk IBIS. If you're sick, you're in a car accident. I mean, there are certain situations that, David's pretty human. We're going to make a judgment call on. So, yes.
I have a question with the LGA and MGA. You're wanting to play on a Tuesday or Thursday with LGAs, but you're not playing, you're playing with somebody else, not the LGA. How many blocks of tee times will that interface with this system, and when will it release those?
It doesn't change how we do it now. We block 64 times for LGA each day and 64 times for MGA each day, and there's no change to that.
Nothing will change to that.
Yes.
So I've got a question, and it seems like the biggest issue on tea time is possibly Saturday. And with all the men here, I don't know if I hear the answer to this question, but the LTA plays on Tuesday.
This is Kevlar. Do you want to put it on?
Yeah, I just wonder, the ladies play Tuesday and Thursday, and men's are Wednesday and Saturday.
Correct.
Has there been any thought of changing that Saturday to open up more weekend tea times? Which I
kind of down here, every day is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It is. If we were, I would say more of a working crowd, I think weekends are a little bit, but down here, I think for the most part, but I have not been part of any conversations with that, or even heard that request still right now.
Yes.
Will the missed minutes sunset? I mean, if we have missed minutes when we go home at 8 o'clock, will we still have the same amount of missed minutes when we get back in October?
No, it's a 14-day revolving cycle. So on October 1st, you have, let's say you missed by 2 hours, you got 120 minutes. And the other 14, up to the 14th, you didn't accumulate any minutes. On the 15th, your 120 minutes are gone. So it's constant. Every day, you're either going up, going down, or staying the same.
But keep in mind too, when you get back in the fall, you've been gone all summer, you have no minutes accumulated. When you make that first tea time placement, you're just going to receive the club average. Okay, so the computer's going to say, here's all the members in that placement, and this particular member has 0. It's going to award the average to figure the placement. So you're not penalized for being gone for a period of time. Yes, Mr. Willis.
If I have a buddy list and I can go in there and see all my buddies and how many minutes they have, and I look at the course, and I know all this stuff. They know that no missed minutes. And so I don't want to put them on my list like that. If I put 2 other guys on my buddy list that's got a lot of missed minutes,
Yeah, that's a good question, and again, that is, we would have the ability to address situations like that, and it's something we would have to come up with through the yes. Yeah.
Also, on that point, you're putting in a request 10 days, 12 days, 30 days out. The minutes at that particular time mean nothing to you. It's at the time the request is processed, it'll work off those minutes. So if I have 120 minutes for me, when Paul Bliss put my request in 15 days prior, come time for that request to be processed, my 120 minutes might be down to 10 minutes because it's going to change every single day. It's not the minutes at the time of the request. It's the minutes at the time the requests are processed.
And if you link everybody,
Then it'll
and
take,
your group who's taking the whole average.
it'll take all, if there's 24 players and there's, I don't know, 1,000 minutes, it's going to average them all out by 24.
And you keep them linked.
Correct.
That'll be
Yeah. Now, someone had asked a question, she already walked out. I'm bringing a guest. How does that work? Well, if you have 3 members and a guest, the 3 members total up to 90 minutes. Okay? The guest doesn't hurt you and it doesn't help you. The guest takes the average minutes of the other members. So really the 3 that average out to 30 minutes apiece, that 4th person, that guest, will have 30. So it's not an advantage to have a guest and it's not a disadvantage to have a guest. Ms. Weaver?
Yeah, if I was to put in a request for, say, a 2 or 3 hour window, and no times are available for my course in that, do I get an email on the 10th day before that I don't have a tea time period?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone who is included in the placement, regardless of if you get your time or you don't get a time at all, you will get an email confirmation once that happens. And keep in mind, that probably happens to you today.
No, because I just go with one.
Well, but you would still have the opportunity, even if you don't get an email at 10-day place, or you don't get a time at 10 days out, you still have the opportunity to see what's available 9 days out. After changes.
But that's the potential, if you close your window.
Correct.
Right.
Potentially, you're going to get closed out of the window, so the bigger the window, the more opportunity.
Yeah, there's so many There's so many possibilities. They won't even, like, we asked at one point through our conversations, can we run like some theoretical, like if we give you X number of members and we have requests across this broad range, can we run like some theoretical like scenarios? They won't even do it. There's so many options out there. Like I said, the key here is we're trying to address some specific issues and really make the overall experience better. As we move through this, with the input of members, we're going to have to iron out a lot of these issues or questions.
Your question is a great reference to why we're going to issue or release the tee times during the day when the golf shop is open. If this happens at midnight and she gets an email saying, sorry, you didn't get a tee time, well, she's got to wait till 7 o'clock in the morning to pick up the phone and call. If she gets that email right away, she could call the golf shop and say, hey, I put in between 8 and 8:30 for a tee time, I didn't get it. Hey, I got 9 o'clock, you want 9 o'clock? Sure. So there's someone there to answer the call to take care of that.
When you leave your tee time 30 days out,
Now, you put in request 30 days.
request 30 days out, is there going to be, will there be like a temporary tee sheet so people can see
No.
whether they actually
Are
got
you-
that request?
The question was 30 days out, will there be a temporary tee sheet? You won't see a tee sheet until 10 days in advance.
So you
After the tee times, you've actually,
Even though you requested,
correct.
until the final one's printed.
Until the tee times are issued, you don't know what you have. But I do know that if you put a request in that doesn't meet what we have, an example, let's say we have ladies member guests on a Tuesday morning, and you put a request in from 8:30 to 9 o'clock, it's going to say, a message will come back and say, adjust your request, there's going to be nothing available. Right, it's going to kick it back. And also, one of the good things about the system, when you put say John Eubank puts in a request and lists me as one of the players. Paul Bliss, the next day, puts a request in and lists me in his group for the same day. The system is going to say, Paul Bliss, this guy's already listed. You can't do that. So you can't double up players on the same day.
Well, I was only asking this because they were saying, I won't know till the end of the day,
You're not, no one's going to know
whether they're in or not. And I didn't know that program was going to take a like, I
No, because it won't know until all the requests are in. I shut down the system and say process. There you go.
Right.
Right. It's a request. It's not a time.
If you have a group that plays like Saturday, so I get a tee time for each of them, put in 8 names, and let's say each of them does the same thing, and put the other, and then you just see who's got the better time. That's another option.
Right. I mean, we can't stop someone from putting in a request. But no, she said different names.
Yes.
I put in a request 30 days ahead, 4 days. Are there any people notified that there's a request?
Yes. Yes. When you put your request in, any member listed on that request is automatically notified that there was a request made. Okay. Mr. Mills, a couple more questions here.
I have a non-time question or statement.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the aesthetics on the course. It doesn't seem like anybody is concerned with the PCI. For example, and I brought this up before, take a ride down the Carpet, Harris Ford, just to the left of the Carpet, is at least 3 dead trees that have been there, I know, 5 years. One has a big root system exposed to it. Give me the chainsaw, I'll go down. I'll have it out of there.
Well,
But it's a basic aesthetics of the course.
we I actually answered that question, and I know you submitted that in advance, and Chris is handing those out in the back of the room. Our schedule this summer is going to allow us to focus more on those things. There are some varying concerns in terms of when we take down dead trees. It is difficult. I know those have been there for a while, but we're going to get to it. And I will make note too that through our time with the USGA, there are trees that they say, hey, it gives character to the golf course. And I'll use the example of the dead oak behind. Well, it's not dead. It's actually fallen over. It's still alive behind Heron 2. USGA every year says, hey, that's kind of cool. Leave it there. So I think some of it's a matter of preference, but we are in tune to these studies of the golf course, and we're going to address that as best we can this summer. There was one in the back of the room here.
Does the guest need to have a name now? If it still designated as guest need to make a request?
Does the guest need to have a name, or is it just listed as guest?
That's a good question. I'll have to check on that, but I think you can. Right.
Right. Yeah, that's something we'll have to ask.
I'm not sure on that one. That's something that we'll have to figure out.
Talk about the appearance or everything, you're clearing the law, keep it.
Uh-huh.
What are they doing?
We're removing exotics. We sent an email out early February. We had about $30,000 in our plan this year to clean up some of the native areas and remove the exotics. So that's all the work you see happening right now. Yeah. We've fallen way behind on that. Yes, Mr. Lee.
This has to do with bringing guests up here for dining. Are you going to reevaluate how they get paid?
As I said earlier, we're going to reevaluate those policies. I'm not telling you they're going to change though. So we're going to look at it again over the summer. Let's go here and then one more here. So, yep.
The missed minutes, it's per person, not per golf membership, right? Like
Per person.
Per person.
Yeah.
Each golf member will have individual missed minutes.
Because you may not have Mr. Dempsey in your foursome for that particular day. So it's based off of the people that are in the request.
One more question over here.
Egret number 4, is there, I heard rumor that there's a fence being put in?
Yes.
Is that why that clearing was done?
Yes, that is a perimeter fence that WCI is putting in to add some further security to the community. So that's.
If you look on the bridge going from 4 to 5, if you stop in the middle, you look down the corner of the fence, and it's coming here, and then it's going to go all the way down
I really appreciate your time this morning. Chris and Gigi have the questions submitted in advance are available in the back of the room. We will send out a follow-up email with this information, and if anybody thinks of any questions after the fact, come see David or I. Thank you.